Now on BBC Two, a change to tonight's scheduled programme. The Western Approach billed in Radio Times is replaced by a special edition of Spotlight South West.
South West Tories are stunned as Mrs Thatcher leaves number 10 after 11 years.
West Country MPs pay emotional tributes and look to the future.
Will a new Prime Minister bring new hope to business and industry in the region?
Good evening. We have a special edition of Spotlight tonight to reflect the West Country's reaction to today's momentous events at Westminster. Mrs Thatcher's decision to withdraw from the Tory leadership campaign has sent shockwaves throughout the South West, one of the staunchest Conservative strongholds in the whole of the country.
MPs, party loyalists and Conservative voters throughout the region were stunned by Mrs Thatcher's announcement that she was to resign as Tory leader and Prime Minister. It was the first time in history that a serving Prime Minister has been unseated by MPs of her own party. Tonight we find out how politicians of all parties have reacted to the news, and we ask Conservatives what hopes they now have for the future of their party.
And here at Westminster, the mood among the Tories is one of shock, tinged in some quarters with relief. I've been getting the reaction of West Country MPs.
And I'm here at Liskeard, the political power base of Tory MP Bob Hicks, one of the 4 West Country MPs who helped unseat the Prime Minister. 2 of them could have saved her. We'll find out what local party workers think of that.
Despite the speculation, the news of Mrs Thatcher's decision has come as a shock in the South West, particularly among the region's MPs. Patrick Nicholls, Conservative MP for Teignbridge, said he was close to tears when he heard the news. Exeter's John Hannam said he was shocked because Mrs Thatcher still had a good chance of winning the leadership contest. The MP for West Dorset, Sir James Spicer, said he couldn't believe it and that she'd been pulled down by a mixture of envy and dislike. And the member of St Ives, David Harris, said he had a feeling of profound grief. He said it was a sad but right decision.
Well, throughout the long build-up to this morning's dramatic events, MPs from the South West had played a prominent part. Not only have they shadowed the protagonists and occasionally grabbed the limelight, but the pro-Heseltine stance of 4 of them in Tuesday's vote was a deciding factor in forcing Mrs Thatcher's hand. The first rumblings of the resignation earthquake were felt at the beginning of the month when Sir Geoffrey Howe resigned over Mrs Thatcher's approach to Europe. The man who made the announcement was his parliamentary private secretary, St Ives MP David Harris.
After meeting the Prime Minister this evening at his request, Sir Geoffrey Howe has announced his resignation from the government. The exchange of letters will be published later.
One of the first MPs to declare himself for Michael Heseltine was Honiton member Sir Peter Emery, a veteran of more than 30 years in Parliament. He's claimed the dubious distinction of being responsible for writing the rules of the leadership election back in 1964, the rules which made Tuesday's first-round winner today's loser. Jerry Neal, MP for North Cornwall, is a Thatcher loyalist who stuck to his convictions and became the most active of Mrs Thatcher's campaign managers. And then there's Emma Nicholson, member for Devon Western Torridge, a long-term member of the Thatcher camp who changed her mind and has stayed in the headlines as a Heseltine supporter.
Michael is the man of the future. Mrs Thatcher has been a fantastic party leader, an amazing Prime Minister, triumph after triumph after triumph. But in my constituency, most people say it's time for a change.
Pro-Heseltine MPs is the South East Cornwall member Robert Hicks. Let's go over now to the Conservative Association at Liskeard, where Keith Blackler is waiting to discover how the Grassroots supporters have reacted to today's shock news. Keith.
With me now, some loyal party workers in the South East Cornwall constituency, the political home of Bob Hicks, one of the MPs instrumental in bringing the resignation of the Prime Minister. Neville Stiff is the local association chairman. Mr Stiff, do you and your association approve of the behaviour of your MP in recent days?
Oh, I'm not prepared to say anything like that at the moment. I haven't had a chance to talk to him. All I've heard is what I've seen on television or read in the papers, so I don't really know exactly what he's done.
What's the mood of your members?
I think we have a feeling of total disbelief at what has happened, because we enormously respect our Prime Minister. She's been an outstanding leader of the party and of the country, and we're absolutely amazed at what's happened. Today it's a day very much of shock that we have just not got used to the idea.
Richard Stevens, you're Mr. Hicks's agent. Did all this come as a surprise to you, or did you know that Bob Hicks would vote the way he did?
It came as a surprise, as the whole last 2 weeks has been very difficult for everybody to take in all in one go.
You must have discussed it with him, surely.
Well, I've spoken to Robert, yes.
What's his explanation?
I don't think Robert has changed his views as to what he has had in the past few years.
You, sir, your MP has been labelled a wet in times past. Did you expect him to vote the way he did?
I'm afraid I did, yes.
No surprise to you?
It wasn't a surprise to me, no.
And you wouldn't criticise him for it?
I was rather disappointed, but it's rather what I expected.
Do you, sir? Do you think the next general election will be the easier for what's happened in recent days?
Oh, yes, I certainly do. A lot of people wouldn't vote for Mrs. Thatcher. They'd vote for Robert. And therefore, because of the difference of the two, they weren't going to vote at all. Now I think they will vote Conservative.
You, madam, if I may come to you, how do you think your MP might vote out of the three choices?
That's extremely difficult to say. I don't believe he will vote for Mr. Heseltine, but as I haven't spoken to him, I really wouldn't like to say.
He has supported Mr. Heseltine in recent days?
He has indeed, but I think lots of people believe there might be a second ballot and different candidates, and I think that might prove that he might change his mind.
How do you think your fellow members view the actions of Mr. Hicks in recent days?
Some of them are perturbed. Could you repeat the question, please?
I think we'll have to leave it there for the moment. Thank you for your contribution.
Keith Blackler gauging opinion in Liscard. We apologise for the quality of pictures there. One of the leading lights from the southwest in Michael Heseltine's campaign was Emma Nicholson, the Devon West and Torridge MP. Her high profile over the issue has, she says, seen half the world in Westminster become instant friends with the other half baying for her blood, a situation echoed in her constituency. Today, an unrepentant Emma Nicholson was in Devon briefly to attend a funeral, and she gave her views on Margaret Thatcher's resignation to Martin Tasker.
I'm immensely relieved that Mrs. Thatcher has resigned, because she saved us all the misery of watching such a marvellous, proud person humiliated in the next Tuesday's election. I knew last night that she wasn't going to win. I passed that news on to Michael Heseltine.
And the Conservative Association down here saw you as going against them, and there was even talk of deselection. So how would you try and heal the rift in your constituency?
The rift in my association reflects most accurately, in a mirror image almost, the rift in the parliamentary party between Mrs. Thatcher and Mr. Heseltine. My president agrees with my view and what I have done. My chairman disagrees, although he said earlier this week he would back me to the hilt, whatever I did. And I go down the line of my honorary officers, and exactly the same applies. Half of them are ringing up saying, well done, we support you, it's time for a change. And the other half are ringing my chairman and say, this is no good, we have to support the Prime Minister. But that scene has now passed. The Queen is dead, long live the King, except that at the moment we have 3 crown princes.
Which way now do you think that you might vote?
Again, I say it's time for thinking. We have an empty throne and 3 crown princes. I have cast my vote so far for Michael Heseltine. The probability is that I will do so again, because Michael Heseltine will be a very fine Prime Minister. He's an all-rounder and can gain the popular vote.
At the Conservative Association offices in Oakhampton, the phones have been running hot all day, and Emma Nicholson can expect a very mixed reception when she returns to her constituency tomorrow.
Well, the phone calls that I've been having, and as I said, I've had 100 or more than 100 since the resignation this morning, is that a quarter of those approximately have asked for deselection. This, as I've said before, is not a path that I would like to go down. I'd like to see things cool down before any decisions are made, and the longer it is left, I think the better, so people can cool down.
Well, as you heard earlier in the programme, the immediate reaction to Mrs Thatcher's resignation among South West MPs was one of shock. They've now had more time to reflect on their position and the choice they're faced with in the next ballot. Joining us now from our Westminster studio is correspondent Viv Robbins.
Hello. Well, I'm here with Sir Peter Emery, who was, of course, a noted supporter of Michael Heseltine, and Tony Speller MP, who has not said how he voted in the first ballot. We can start off with you, Sir Peter. The Prime Minister, by all accounts, gave a bravura performance this afternoon, and one loyalist said to me that he thought a lot of people were squirming on the back benches. Were you squirming?
I was paying great tribute to Margaret Thatcher. She always is brilliant in the House of Commons and makes an excellent speech. And nobody is doing other than pay the greatest tribute to all that she's done for our country over the last 11 years. But, you know, there does come a time for change, and the Cabinet actually reinforced those of us who believed that we had to look to winning the next election, not just dwelling on what had passed.
Tony Speller, would you agree that she was past her sell-by date?
No, I don't think she ever will be. She isn't that kind of person.
No.
But she may, in fact, have passed her time as leader with the European thing coming. But having said that, at least now one can make a decision on confidence, on ability, and not on sentiment. I wasn't squirming. I was very nearly in tears during Prime Minister's question time. We will not see her like again, as they say, and we really won't.
Well, Sir Peter, we have John Major and Douglas Hurd entering the fray. Is this not going to split the non-Thatcher vote and cause Michael Heseltine to lose?
I don't know, and I wouldn't wish at this time to give any prognostication of what might happen. I will be going back to my constituency on tomorrow and on Saturday. I will be taking soundings, seeing my officers, see what they have to say. But there is no doubt that Michael Heseltine had a big lead, and we'll have to see what happens.
Tony Speller, what about you?
I've got 71 branches and 6 areas meeting me tomorrow evening in Barnstaple. I'll take my soundings as I took them before, but at the end the decision is mine, not even my constituents, not even my chairman's.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Well, Mrs Thatcher failed to win outright on Tuesday by just 4 votes. 4 South West MPs voted for Mr Heseltine. In staunch Thatcherite constituencies, there's already talk of deselecting such MPs. But Dame Margaret Fry, who lives in Devon and is national chairman of the Union of Conservative Associations, would rather see an outbreak of unity.
I would hope not. Recriminations won't get us anywhere. The deed has been done. Our great Prime Minister has gone. We have to fall in behind the new leader, whoever he is. And I'm sure wounds will be healed very quickly. And we shall go forward to the next election. And we shall win that election, because we've got to prove to the Prime Minister that all that she has achieved was worthwhile, and we shall build on it.
Can I say, I know you're very sad. I sense there's anger as well. Is that right?
Well, bitter disappointment when we've been in this position before between elections, at a low, but when everything is beginning to improve and the economy is coming right, I'm absolutely convinced in my own mind that Mrs Thatcher would have led us into the next election, and she would have won that election the same as she has done so triumphantly 3 times already.
Well, we've just heard live from 2 MPs at Westminster. Others in the South West were stunned and saddened by the resignation. Although split over whether she should have fought on, they were united in their praise.
Many MPs arrived at Westminster this morning unaware of Mrs Thatcher's decision. Cornish MP David Mudd was one of those who was first told of the momentous announcement in the tea rooms at the Commons.
Well, firstly, a feeling obviously of sadness, because she has been a great Prime Minister, she's won her place in history, she's been a great leader. Sadness to lose a great leader, but obviously a feeling of relief, because the agony to which the Conservative Party has exposed itself over the last 36 hours defies description. So the fact that we've now got out of that level at least is good news for the party.
Sadness, yes, but pragmatism too.
She's done an extremely honourable thing, and she has brought her career to a close by an act of personal self-sacrifice in the interest of unifying the party. And it's entirely in character. I mean, I don't think she's ever shown a fault in the whole field of honour and integrity throughout her 15 years leading the party. She may have had other failings, but she has always been totally honourable and with complete integrity and strength of will.
For the MP who ran Mrs Thatcher's campaign, her announcement was a body blow.
Well, I, obviously, having been in Mrs Thatcher's team, I've only heard in the last hour or so that she is not going forward in the second ballot, so I shall be holding my counsel and just working out who I shall support. But I think it's a very sad day, and we should feel a sense of shame that we've rendered this on probably the finest peacetime Prime Minister that we've had in the party.
But for others, it wasn't a question of resigning, more one of timing.
Probably she should have gone a little earlier, because for a whole series of reasons, which I'm sure your viewers will appreciate, she has lost the grip of the nation. She's failed to reflect the feelings and aspirations of many people, and we've got to go into the 1990s, and should have perhaps gone into the 1990s before we lost so many outstanding cabinet ministers.
The farming community is a traditional Tory stronghold, but it's felt that support for Mrs Thatcher among the agricultural community has waned in recent years. Farmers are facing their worst economic crisis for the last 40 years, and it's felt a new leader may be able to win them a better deal.
The majority of farmers have had their incomes gradually eroded away by cuts in subsidies and the economic recession. That's why many farmers who previously supported Mrs Thatcher now say they're glad she's going.
Well, I think for the farming community it'll be good news, because she's been a good Prime Minister in the past, but I think in the recent 2 or 3 years her policies hasn't suited the farming community.
Some farmers believe that a leader with a more enthusiastic approach to European unity would be able to secure a better deal in Europe, and cooperation rather than a hard line is what's needed.
The feeling, I think, would be from most people that the Prime Minister has very much led the battle in Europe for cuts in expenditure, to some extent irrespective of the consequences, and to a very large extent, I mean, we've relied on our European colleagues and other European ministers to fight the cause of farmers. Now, I mean, that's a very considerable generalisation, but I think that the majority of the farming community feel we are in Europe, we must become Europeans, we must seek a level playing field, i.e. everybody having the same opportunity, and that perhaps this government has not always sought to do that. And I hope that there will be a more positive attitude towards the policies rather than just budget, budget. Which appears to have been the case to some extent over the last year or so.
In a nutshell, do you think it's good news for farmers?
I think the majority of farmers will think it's good news, yes.
The southwest business world has long been pressing for a fairer deal from central government. Some say that under Mrs Thatcher, the region with its high proportion of small businesses has been particularly hard hit by high interest rates and higher business rates. Her resignation has met a mixed reaction, but many small businesses see a leadership change as a new opportunity.
I think it's the right thing. I think with the poll tax and the business tax that we've had to pay, she's putting small businesses out of business.
You know, we thought that she would have carried on, although it could do us a lot of good, you know. It depends on what the new regime brings for us now.
What will you be looking for?
We're hoping for a little bit more support for small businesses in this area.
What will you be looking for from a new leader now?
Somebody who cares for the working class people, working class person.
Against the contrasting background of redundancies at English China Clay and Cornwall and new Japanese investment in Plymouth, development companies have been battling to overcome the Southwest's reputation for high unemployment and low wages. Senior figures now hope for a more sympathetic ear to their lobby.
In the Southwest, we have particular strengths and weaknesses. Our weaknesses have not been addressed by central government. This region has not had its fair share of national attention in terms of the resources that are generated here in terms of taxation.
What hope then do you think there is that a new leader, a new cabinet, will be more sympathetic to the Southwest lobby?
All three candidates have a vision of Europe and a strategic idea of where Britain as part of Europe can go, which from a business point of view means that there are great strengths to be built on in the Southwest.
While few Conservative associations in the southwest or further afield could have watched the events of the morning with more concern than the Tories of North Cornwall. Their MP Jerry Neal had come out forcefully as a Thatcherite in the leadership contest, and he was one of the Prime Minister's campaign managers.
Stunned supporters of Mr Neal's stand gathered as if for a wake at the Launceston Conservative headquarters. It was too soon to consider the age of Thatcherism over, and bewildering to think who might follow her.
It was total shock, and we're all, well, we feel as if we've lost somebody. She's a great friend of all of us, and we've seen her a lot of times in North Cornwall, and I've met her personally, and I'm very sorry that she's had to resign in this way.
Which of the three candidates announced today would make your job easiest at the next general election?
All of them.
You can't have all of them, you can only have
all
one.
All right, I'll take any one of them. I think there will be some strong local support for Michael Heseltine. I remember when he was MP at Tavistock, but I think that we've got a week now to reflect on the qualities of the candidates, which we'll see over the weekend, and I'm sure that, that I personally would go for Mr Hurd to be the next leader and next Prime Minister.
Members watched in grim silence as political history unfolded, and then took stock.
Oh, I was aghast. I thought it was terrible. I thought that it was a disaster. That was my first impression.
I think Margaret Thatcher's been marvellous for women all over the country. She's been very good, but I think now her time has come to an end, and it's time for new blood at number 10. I think it's a shame that people have lost confidence with her, with the poll tax and Iran and all that. It's a very, it's a great shame, but it is probably time for a change.
Yeah, I think it's time for a change. She's been a good Prime Minister up to now, but she got to alter her outlook a bit.
In Plymouth today, the news came as a shock to the party faithful, who expressed sadness over Mrs Thatcher's departure and paid tribute to her achievements.
We're very sad, very sad. She's been a wonderful Prime Minister. If she believes it right for the country to stand down, then we must allow her to go with dignity. And with our thanks for everything that she's done, for the standing of this country in world politics.
She displayed great determination, great decision, something that this country needed desperately, and most of all, she displayed great leadership. For that, I think she will go down in history as being one of the best Prime Ministers that we have ever seen.
Mr Gibson said the most important task for Mrs Thatcher's successor was to reunite the party, though he wouldn't say who he thought most capable of that.
One of them has to. It's an imperative, and I'm quite sure that they will do.
On the streets of Plymouth today, reaction to the news of Mrs Thatcher's resignation was mixed, though everyone had an opinion.
Well, I think it's about time she went. I think she's done a good job while she's been in, and I'd like to see Michael Heseltine get it.
I think she's a very strong, very powerful lady. Very, very clever, obviously, but I just think she became a bit too much of an autocrat. But I'm not sure that we're going to get any better, unfortunately.
It's about time we got rid of her.
Why is that?
The hospitals, by the education, by the welfare of the state, by it was endangered in their hands.
She served her country well, I think, better than any other Prime Minister, except perhaps Churchill. But I think they'll never find another one like her.
That report from Sally Mountjoy. While Conservatives in the southwest try to come to terms with the new situation and limit the damage this contest has inflicted on their party, other political groups, mainly the Liberal Democrats, are assessing their chances of picking up the votes of disaffected Tories.
The constituency of Falmouth and Camborne in West Cornwall has traditionally been regarded as a Tory seat. But the deteriorating economy and a poll tax of £328 has bitten hard into pockets and a slender majority of just over 5,000. The MP, David Mudd, who retires at the next election, was certain both this margin and the government were under threat from Mrs Thatcher's continued leadership, a decision which has caused dismay among some local die-hard Thatcherites. But he thought that the political career of his prospective replacement, Seb Coe, would never get off the starting blocks under Mrs T. And Cornwall has a strong Liberal tradition stamped through it like a stick of Falmouth rock. So just as the parrot was twitching back to life, haven't the Liberal Democrats lost in Mrs Thatcher their best electoral opportunity?
Well, all the signs would prove. This is a Conservative Party membership card. It has just been brought in to me this afternoon, and in fact this gentleman has now joined the Liberal Democrats as a result of Mrs Thatcher leaving. He saw that as a totally divisive stab in the back for what he considered was the leader of the Conservatives. That is all I can go by. I cannot answer for everybody else.
Nevertheless, this is considered in some ways a marginal seat. Now, with Mrs Thatcher gone, the Tories think they've got a much better chance of winning the next election.
But I think most people would feel that Mrs Thatcher, for all her faults, was a very strong and a very courageous leader. Obviously, her policies were something I and the Liberal Democrats wouldn't subscribe to or want to, particularly the poll tax, which I think is what's put the people of Cornwall very much against.
In nearby Truro, Democrat MP Matthew Taylor gave his own view on the dilemma.
I think a lot of Conservatives will be very disillusioned about what's been happening in their party. In fact, I got a phone call in my office this morning from a lifelong Conservative Party member who said that 5 minutes beforehand he'd ripped up his membership card and wanted to join us, and I think that speaks volumes for what's happening in the West Country now.
She's had to take a very difficult decision, but she's taken it with great dignity. She's taken the right decision for herself, for her party, and I believe for the country.
I'm sad. She is, by any standards, a very formidable Prime Minister and has been one of the great Prime Ministers this century, along with Lloyd George, Winston Churchill, Clement Attlee. And it's therefore, for me, an old adversary, a certain sense of regret.
But despite their own policies, Democrats throughout the region know that their future will depend on whoever takes over the Conservative Party.
Well, the race for the Tory leadership will start off the race for the next general election. Keith Blackler is still with the constituency members in Liskeard. Let's go back to him now for some more of the grassroots opinions. Keith.
With me now, party workers in the Cornwall South East constituency of Mr Robert Hicks. I want to talk to them about the future. You, sir, do you think your party has committed a political own goal this week?
Not really. I think that remains to be seen, really. I think the party needs to sleep on it and then work it out afterwards. I think it's too early to say.
You wouldn't deny, though, would you, that a tremendous amount of damage has been done this week?
No, I would deny that. Certain degree of disagreement, I do, but not tremendous damage. It can be healed. It happened when Margaret Thatcher came to power, and one of the factors of this party is the wounds are quickly healed, and there's no doubt that'll happen on this occasion. They will rally around.
How long do you think it will take to achieve unity?
Within 6 months.
That's unlikely, isn't it?
I think that the new team will work well together and get the country back on its feet again.
But think on this. It took the Labour Party a few years and it took the Liberal Democrats a few years to repair their troubles. Can you do it in time for the next general election?
I think so. Now we have got the 3 putting up. I don't think it'll be any problem.
How long might it take them? Would you say as quickly as 6 months?
Yes, I would.
Can you be confident about the next general election?
Very confident.
What
with
makes
the new team?
Who do you favour as Prime Minister?
Michael Heseltine.
May I ask you? Who stands the best chance of taking the Tory party to victory in a general election?
I would have thought Mr Hurd.
Why?
Well, he's got the experience. He's in the Foreign Office. He's been around the world. And in addition to that, he's had all the cabinet experience and is well aware of the position there and learned from it, and he's got that experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Keith Blackler there with Conservative Party members at Liskeard. The focus of today's events, however, has been the Palace of Westminster, where we return now for a final word from our political correspondent, Viv Robbins.
Well, here at Westminster, the shockwaves are only just beginning to subside at the end of what all are agreed has been a most momentous day in British politics. The general feeling here is that the Prime Minister was right to resign, although right-wingers say she's been betrayed by some of her closest cabinet colleagues. But the Tory party is about nothing if it's not about winning. And MPs know they must unite, and unite quickly, around whoever emerges as leader next week. But so far, no bets are being placed on who that person will be.
Thank you, Viv Robbins at Westminster. It certainly has been a momentous day, a very busy day as well for everybody. Tomorrow will be an even busier day for us because, of course, tomorrow night we have Children in Need. And so I hope you'll be able to join us at 7 o'clock, Teresa and I, when we'll have an evening of fun and entertainment. So I hope you'll join us then. That's at 7 o'clock. See you tomorrow. From all of us, good night.